Okay, let's unpack this. It is Sunday, February 15th, 2026.
There we are.
And if you're listening to this, first of all, you made it through the Valentine's Day rush, so congratulations on that.
Yes, a victory in itself.
But I think if you're a business owner, and particularly if you're operating in, say, the South Bay or North Orange County areas, you're probably taking a look at your P&L statement this morning, and you're feeling a very specific, very annoying type of pressure. It's not a panic, but it's a squeeze.
It is a distinct moment in time, isn't it? It's this. If you look at the macro indicators versus the local reality, we're in this fascinating, slightly uncomfortable transition period.
Yeah.
We sometimes call it profitless prosperity. The top line, your revenue, might look okay.
Sure, sales are coming in.
But the bottom line is getting squeezed from both sides. It's just getting thinner and thinner.
Profitless prosperity. That is a terrifying phrase, but it feels so accurate right now. I was reading through the source material from Voxel Micro Video Labs this morning to prep for this deep dive, and they aggregate some local economic data that, honestly, it paints a pretty stark picture of the landscape right now.
It does.
We're seeing local job growth projected to be nearly flat for the foreseeable future.
Which is, a very polite economist's way of saying nobody is hiring.
Right. It translates to leaner teams. You aren't hiring an army to solve your problems this year. You have the team you have, and you have to make it work.
You got to get more out of less. That's the mantra for 2026.
Exactly. Leaner teams, tighter budgets. And even though we keep hearing these national talking points that inflation is cooling, and I'm doing massive air quotes here for the listener.
Right, cooling.
Median rents in our specific region, the South Bay, are remaining stubbornly high.
And that's the squeeze. That's the perfect encapsulation of it. You have household budgets, your customers' budgets getting crushed by rent.
Yeah.
Which means the disposable income they might spend with you is way down. They're thinking twice, maybe 3 times, before they buy anything that isn't essential.
And then on the other side of the coin, for the business owner, your costs, your commercial rent, your insurance, your utilities, they haven't exactly plummeted.
Not at all. Inflation might be cooling, but those prices are still elevated compared to where they were a few years ago. They found a new, higher floor.
So you have this pressure cooker, you need to grow, you need to reach new customers, but you have less money to spend on marketing and, frankly, fewer people to actually execute the work.
It feels like we're in an era where efficiency isn't just a buzzword on a PowerPoint slide anymore.
No.
It's literally the only survival strategy left. Efficiency is everything in 2026. If you're wasting time or money, you're not just falling behind, you're actively losing ground. There is no buffer anymore.
And that is a perfect bridge to the mission of this deep dive. We are not just here to admire the problem or, complain about the economy.
Right.
We want to talk about a specific solution. How does a small local business, and I'm thinking a realtor in Torrance, a CPA in Long Beach, a consultant, maybe a local attorney, how do they actually thrive in this efficiency is everything environment?
And not just survive, but actually thrive.
Yes. And we found this fascinating concept called newsjacking, combined with a very specific technological solution that's happening right down in San Pedro.
Newsjacking. Sounds a bit aggressive, doesn't it? Like Grand Theft Auto, but for headlines.
It does. But when you dig into it, it's actually brilliant. So before we get into the how and the specific tech, define that for us. What exactly is newsjacking in the context of our 2026 economy?
Sure. So strictly speaking, newsjacking is the art, and it is an art, of injecting your brand and your expertise into a breaking news story.
Okay.
The goal is to gain immediate attention and authority. You're taking something that everyone is already talking about, something that is likely causing them anxiety or confusion, and you position yourself as the expert who can explain it.
So instead of trying to start a brand new conversation from scratch, which is expensive and hard,
and slow,
you're jumping into a conversation that's already happening at full volume.
Precisely. Think of it this way. Imagine there's a massive parade going down the main street of your town. That parade is the news cycle.
Okay.
It's the Fed rates, it's the local election results, the new zoning law. Everyone is already lined up on the sidewalk watching it go by.
Right. All eyes are on the parade.
The old way of marketing is standing 3 streets over in a totally empty alley shouting at the top of your lungs, "Hey, everybody, come look at my store."
And nobody hears you because they're all watching the parade.
Exactly. Newsjacking is running out onto the main street, marching right alongside the big float and waving your flag. You aren't trying to create an audience from zero. You are stepping in front of an audience that is already gathered. You're pivoting off the momentum that the news cycle has already created for you.
But here's the catch, and this is where the 2026 context is so vital, and where the voxel material we looked at really, really focuses. Speed is the secret weapon.
Speed is the only variable that matters now. It has completely changed. The algorithm has changed the decay rate of information.
What do you mean by decay rate?
In the old days, and by old days I mean like 2020, you could write a blog post about a news event 3 days later, and it might still get some traction.
Sure.
Today, the algorithm moves too fast. Social media feeds are too crowded. It's not just about the quality of your take anymore. It's about its immediate relevance.
Right.
If you're reacting to the news 3 days later, you're basically talking to an empty room. You're the person sweeping up the confetti after the parade has already passed by.
You're old news.
Yeah.
Literally.
Exactly. And this is where the friction lies for most small businesses. They know they need to be relevant. They know they need to be on video because that's where the attention is.
Everyone knows that.
But the actual process of creating that content is usually slow, it's expensive, and frankly, it's a huge pain.
Which is the perfect segue to the solution we're analyzing today. We're looking at a system developed by Voxel Micro Video Labs by Donn Allan Experience.
Okay.
They're located in San Pedro, and they have this tagline that really stuck with me. Hollywood quality at South Bay speed.
It's a bold claim. It's a very bold claim. But when you look at the specs of what they've built, it's not just marketing. It's actually an operational philosophy.
It is. As we dug into their documentation and the specs of their studio model, it seems like they've genuinely engineered a way to solve that speed problem we just talked about.
They've identified the bottlenecks and removed them.
Exactly. So the roadmap for today. We are going to break down exactly how to use this voxel system to execute a newsjacking strategy. And the promise here is wild. They claim you can turn 1 hour of work into weeks of content.
And not just any content. We're talking about high-authority, broadcast-quality video that makes you look like a major player, even if you're a solopreneur working out of a home office.
So let's dive into section 1 here. The problem with the old model versus this new voxel solution, because I think a lot of people hearing the word studio immediately think, oh, I can't afford that, or that's a huge production.
Right. And historically, they would be absolutely right.
Yeah.
Let's really walk through the traditional studio bottleneck. If you wanted to do a high-quality video response to a news event in, say, 2024, what did that actually look like?
Okay, let's play it out. Say the Fed raises interest rates on a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. You, a local mortgage broker, want to make a video about it.
Okay.
Step 1. You have to call a production house or a freelance videographer. Hey, are you free?
And what do they say? I'm booked solid until next Thursday.
Exactly.
Right.
By which time the news is gone, the conversation has moved on.
It's ancient history.
But let's say you get lucky. You find someone who can squeeze you in tomorrow. You go in, you spend 4 hours setting up lights, mic checks, doing multiple takes because you're nervous.
A whole dance.
Yeah.
Then the videographer takes the footage home. They have other clients. You're in a queue. You wait.
You wait for the edit.
And you wait. And you wait.
You wait maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks for an editor to send you a first draft. Then you have revisions. Can you cut that out? Can you fix the color on that shot? Can you add our logo?
Each one of those revisions is another 24-hour delay. It's too slow. It fails the newsjacking test immediately and catastrophically.
And we haven't even talked about the cost.
Oh, the cost.
We're talking thousands of dollars for a single polished video. In an economy where job growth is flat and budgets are tight, you cannot drop $3,000 every time the Federal Reserve makes an announcement. It's just not sustainable.
Impossible.
So how does the Voxel Microlab model change that physics? How does it solve for speed and cost?
It's designed from the ground up to bypass all that friction we just described. Voxel's automated model allows businesses to save, and this is the headline number from their source material, up to 80% compared to traditional studios.
80%. That's massive. That's not just a discount. That's a fundamentally different business model.
It changes the entire economic equation of content creation. When you lower the cost by that magnitude, you change the frequency at which you can afford to record. That is the key insight.
Right. It's not a special occasion anymore.
Exactly. Instead of saving up and waiting for a monthly or quarterly big production day, you can book sessions frequently and, more importantly, spontaneously.
So if news breaks on a Tuesday morning, I can actually afford to be in the studio that afternoon, not next week, today.
Exactly. It moves video production from being a capital expenditure, something you have to plan for and budget for once a quarter, to an operational expense that you just do as part of your normal week.
I love that framing.
And that enables what they call the agile beats the big philosophy.
Okay, explain that philosophy a bit more. That sounds powerful.
In the 2026 economy, a small local business, let's go back to our local real estate agent in Torrance, she can outmaneuver a giant national brokerage simply by being faster.
How so?
Think about the big guys. They have corporate compliance. They have brand guidelines. They have a legal team that needs to approve every single word of the script.
Oh, God, the legal team. By the time they approve the script, the market has completely changed again.
Exactly. Their size and their structure become a disadvantage. It makes them slow and bureaucratic. But if you, the local agent, can be in a studio and have a broadcast quality explanation on TikTok in 4 hours, you win.
You win the trust.
You own the narrative in your local market before the big guys have even scheduled the meeting to discuss what the narrative should be.
It's David versus Goliath, but David has a better camera and a faster internet connection.
And a much, much smarter workflow.
Let's talk about that camera and that workflow, because Section 2 of our deep dive is about the physics of trust. This gets into the environment and the tech. The Voxel source material makes a really big deal about the vibe of the studio.
Yes. They're very explicit about it.
Yeah.
They state it is not a cold, sterile warehouse, and it's not, some historic 1922 building that smells like dust and old books.
I've been in those studios. The cold, sterile ones feel like interrogation rooms. You sit there under a harsh light and you feel like you're about to confess to a crime you didn't commit.
Laughs. Right. Tell us where the marketing budget went. No, the Voxel environment is specifically designed for what we can call visual authority.
Visual authority? What's the data on that?
We have some great data here from Finchley Studios, which provides a strategic analysis on ROI for this kind of thing. They found a direct measurable correlation between high production value, specifically 4K visuals, and the audience's perception of brand credibility.
It just makes sense intuitively. If I'm scrolling through my Instagram feed and I see a grainy, shaky webcam video of you in your spare bedroom
with a messy shelf behind me and a ceiling fan spinning out of focus,
I might listen to what you say, but subconsciously I'm already questioning your expertise. But then I see a crisp, beautifully lit shot of you in a professional setting.
I'm going to automatically assume the person in the professional setting knows more, even before they speak a single word.
It's a cognitive shortcut.
It's subconscious, but it is incredibly powerful. Finchley calls it visual intimacy. When a host looks directly into a high-quality camera, it creates a simulated one-on-one active conversation.
Right, it feels like you're talking to me.
It turns passive listening into active engagement. But you cannot achieve that effect if the environment looks amateurish or distracting. The vibe matters.
And a huge part of that professional environment is the lighting. Voxel uses something called auto-framing lighting. Why does that specific term matter? Is it just about looking pretty?
It's about so much more than that. It's about viewer retention. This is where the science gets really interesting, and frankly, it's where most DIY setups completely fail.
Okay.
Finchley's deep dive into lighting explains that poor lighting forces the human eye to strain. It creates something called cognitive load.
Cognitive load. Break that down for us.
Okay, so if I have to squint to see your facial expressions because you're backlit by a window, or the shadows on your face are really harsh, or the color balance is all weird and orange,
my brain has to work harder.
Your brain has to work harder just to process the image. It creates a micro-frustration, a little bit of friction.
And when the brain gets frustrated on social media, what does it do?
Swipe. You're gone. The thumb keeps moving. Proper lighting extends the dynamic range of the camera sensor, making the image clean, clear, and effortless to consume.
So good lighting reduces the work the viewer has to do.
Exactly. In what we call the cost of attention economy, which is a metric we'll discuss later, bad lighting is incredibly expensive because it costs you viewers. Voxel setup ensures the video is visually ready for algorithmic distribution without hours of manual fiddling and adjustment. You just sit down, the light is perfect, and you look like a pro.
Okay, so we look good, we sound authoritative. But there's another feature at Voxel that I found really intriguing because it sounds like a negative at first, but it's actually a huge positive. They talk about dry acoustics.
Ah, yes. In audio engineering terms, dry means there is no echo, no reverb. It's that dead, quiet, focused sound you hear in a professional vocal booth.
which usually people add effects to later in post-production to make it sound more natural. So why is dry the selling point here? Why is that a feature?
It's the AI connection. This is the absolute critical piece for achieving speed in 2026. Clean, dry audio is the prerequisite for perfect AI transcription.
Oh, okay. So it's not about how it sounds to the human ear initially. It's about how it sounds to the machine.
It's about the data. Exactly. If your audio is muddy, and by that I mean it has room echo or the low hum of an air conditioner, or you can hear traffic noise from the street outside.
The AI tools struggle.
They struggle immensely. You get what we call hallucinations in the text.
Yeah.
Your perfect explanation of a tax deduction becomes taxi abduction.
Laughs. And then you have to spend 2 hours manually going through the subtitles and fixing every single error.
Which completely kills your speed advantage.
Yeah.
You're back to the old slow model. If the transcript is bad, you can't use AI to edit the video by editing text, you can't auto-generate accurate captions, and you can't turn it into a blog post without spending hours fixing it manually.
So the dry acoustics at Voxel aren't just for pleasant listening. They are a functional technical feature designed to make the next step of the process instant and frictionless.
Exactly right. It makes the audio file instantly ingestible by AI tools. If you want speed, you need clean data. Dry audio is clean data. You're optimizing the hardware, the room itself, to maximize the speed of the software you'll use later.
That is such a cool connection. It's really designing the physical space to optimize the digital workflow. It's thinking 3 steps ahead.
Precisely. It's an end-to-end system.
Okay, so we have the studio, we have the tech, we understand the why. Now let's walk the listener through the actual how-to. This is section 3, the step-by-step Voxel newsjacking workflow. Imagine I'm a small business owner. What do I actually do?
Let's break it down into 3 distinct phases. It's a very clear process. Phase 1 is the trigger. This happens before you even think about going to the studio. This is your role as the business owner, market monitoring.
Okay, so I'm at my desk in the morning, drinking my coffee, reading the news.
You're not just passively reading. You are actively looking for a specific type of headline. Your goal is to identify headlines that cause anxiety or confusion for your specific clients.
Give me some examples for different industries.
For a realtor, it's Fed rate hikes or local housing regulations changing in San Pedro. For a CPA, it's new inflation data or a change in the tax code. For a lawyer, it's a new labor law. Anything that makes your ideal client sit up and think, uh-oh, what does this mean for me and my family or my business?
Okay, so I spot the headline, Fed raises rates again, mortgage demand plummets. My phone starts buzzing.
Stop right there. The mindset shift here is crucial. Most business owners see that and they worry. They think, this is bad for business.
Right.
The newsjacker sees that headline and views it as a content trigger. This is my moment. You don't get anxious, you get active.
Okay, so I'm triggered. In a good way. My content alarm bells are ringing. What's phase 2?
Phase 2 is rapid recording. You immediately head to the Voxel Micro Lab in San Pedro. Remember, the cost is low, so you aren't agonizing over the budget. You just book a session for that afternoon.
And because it's a micro lab, I assume I don't need to bring a camera crew or a bunch of gear.
You bring nothing but your expertise.
Yeah.
Your brain. That's it. The environment is preset. There is no fiddling with gear. This is the biggest time killer in DIY setups. Spending an hour checking levels, moving the tripod an inch to the left, wondering if the window light is too bright.
All that stuff that adds no value.
Zero value. At Voxel, you walk in, you sit down in the chair, and you speak with authority. The tech is invisible, so you can just focus on the message.
And what am I recording? A little 60-second clip for TikTok?
No. And this is the really clever, counterintuitive part of the system. You record a deep dive reaction. You talk for 20 or even 30 minutes. You explain the nuance, you give the context, you really explore the topic from all angles.
Wait, that seems wrong. I thought we wanted short, snappy content for social media. Why am I recording a whole lecture?
Because of the leverage you get in phase 3, the AI content engine.
Okay, explain this. This sounds like the secret sauce.
It is. You take that 30-minute high-quality video and audio file, which, remember, is acoustically dry and perfect for AI, and you feed it into the content engine. The system is designed to slice that single long-form recording into what Voxel calls high-velocity vertical video.
So the AI finds the best moments, the little golden nuggets inside my 30-minute talk.
Yes. It can identify the hooks, the punchlines, the specific questions you answered. It then automatically reformats them into dozens of short vertical clips for TikTok, for Reels, for YouTube Shorts. It pulls out quotes for Twitter. It creates audiograms.
Wow.
So that one 30-minute session doesn't just give you one long video. It gives you maybe 15 short clips, a full-length blog post from transcript, a LinkedIn article, and the original long-form video for YouTube.
That is the promise right there. Turn 1 hour of recording into weeks of content instantly.
And it creates incredible scale. You suddenly look like you are everywhere all the time being helpful and authoritative. But the reality is you only spent 1 hour in the studio on a Tuesday afternoon.
That is incredible efficiency. And again, back to our theme for the 2026 economy, that kind of efficiency is survival.
It allows you to punch way, way above your weight class.
Okay, let's make this super real for people. I want to go through some specific industries. We have these industry-specific execution plans in Section 4. I want to paint a vivid picture of who these people are and how they use this system.
Let's do it.
Let's start with scenario A, the local real estate agent.
Okay, let's call her Sarah. She covers San Pedro and Torrance. She's an independent agent, works really hard.
Okay, Sarah, it's Tuesday. The news drops.
The event is, a new report is released, and the headline everyone sees is, median rents in the South Bay remain stubbornly high.
Sarah's phone immediately starts buzzing. Her clients who are currently renting are freaking out. Should I just buy? Is renting a waste of money? Is the market about to crash?
Now, the old Sarah, the 2024 Sarah, would spend the next 3 days trying to write a long, text-heavy email newsletter.
Right, agonizing over every word, trying to find the perfect stock image of a family smiling in front of a house.
And then she sends it out on Friday, and maybe 20% of her list even opens it.
And by the time she sends it, the panic has already set in. Her clients have been worrying for 72 hours.
Exactly. Now, the Voxel Sarah drives to the studio in San Pedro that same morning. She sits down in the professionally lit chair and records a video titled, What the New Rent Data Actually Means for San Pedro Buyers.
I love that title.
She speaks directly to the camera, to her neighbors. She says, look, I know the headlines are scary, but here's what is actually happening block by block in our neighborhood.
She uses that visual authority. She looks calm, professional, well-lit. She doesn't look like she's panicking, which calms her clients down.
She finishes recording. That afternoon, not next week, that afternoon, her AI engine spits out a dozen vertical videos.
What are the titles of those clips?
Things like, 3 Reasons to Buy in Torrance Even with High Rents, or The One Mistake Every South Bay Renter is Making Right Now, or Is Your Landlord Overcharging You? Here's how to know.
She becomes the immediate authority. Before the news becomes obsolete, she has framed the entire narrative for her clients, and she beats the slow, text-heavy email newsletter every single time. She is the digital mayor of her market.
I love that phrase, the digital mayor.
Let's look at scenario B, the financial advisor or the CPA. This is a huge one for 2026. Business owners are so anxious.
This is a critical service. Okay, so the news event. New inflation data is released, and it shows continued pressure on the cost of doing business.
So every small business owner in the South Bay is looking at their margins and sweating. They see that news and think, my business is going to die.
The CPA, let's call him David, he goes to Voxel. He records a 25-minute session. 3 practical ways South Bay businesses can fight inflation right now.
Okay.
Now, here's where the dry acoustics we talked about really shine. Financial topics are dense. They are detailed. You need 100% accuracy.
You cannot have the AI misinterpreting tax deduction for taxi abduction or messing up the numbers on a new tax credit.
Right.
The stakes are too high.
Exactly. The clean audio allows for a perfect transcription. David uses that perfect transcript to instantly generate a detailed LinkedIn article because financial professionals and business owners live on LinkedIn.
Right.
And simultaneously, the system creates a series of vertical videos for YouTube Shorts. He captures the search traffic of worried local business owners searching for answers on that specific day.
So when a machine shop owner in Carson Googles inflation helps South Bay, David's clear, authoritative video pops up because it's fresh and hyper-relevant.
Precisely. He captures the intent at the exact moment of anxiety. He's not marketing. He's providing an immediate solution.
It's so powerful. Okay, one more. Scenario C, the local attorney or a consultant.
Let's say there's a change in California's local labor laws, or maybe new regional job growth projections shift, affecting hiring practices.
This is the kind of stuff that puts most people to sleep until they realize they may get sued over it.
Right. It's not sexy, but it's critical. The attorney uses the studio vibe to look professional and serious. You don't want a lawyer giving you advice from their car or a dimly lit basement.
No, you want the bookshelf, the good lighting, the sense of gravity. You want that visual authority.
She sits down and breaks down the legal implications. Then, using that content engine, she slices the long video into 5 or 6 short Q&A clips for TikTok and Reels.
With titles like,
Can I still classify my workers as 1099s in California? The new overtime rule all LA businesses need to know. Fired an employee. Don't make this costly mistake.
She's answering the specific urgent questions that people are typing into the search bar at 11 p.m. when they can't sleep.
Exactly. And because it's video, it builds trust. You hire a lawyer you trust. Seeing their face, hearing their voice, seeing them in a professional setting, it bridges that gap. It turns a cold, scared lead into a warm, reassured prospect.
It's amazing how the core strategy is the same. Trigger, record, distribute, but the execution creates such specific, tailored value for each of these different industries.
And the common thread through all of them is speed and quality. You absolutely cannot have one without the other in 2026.
That brings us to the big why. I want to play devil's advocate for a second here. Why go through all this effort? Why spend the money, even if it is 80% less? Why not just stick to audio-only podcasts or writing text emails? We have some really compelling data in Section 5 about the ROI of video and this idea of the cost of attention.
This is a really important concept from the Finchley and Sweetfish media sources we reviewed. They argue that creating video, especially for podcasts or expert content, is now a defensive necessity in 2026.
Defensive necessity? That sounds serious. What does that mean?
It means if you aren't doing it, you aren't just missing a potential opportunity for growth. You are actively losing market share to competitors who are. It's about protecting your existing territory.
Okay.
They introduced this cost of attention metric, and it's true. Audio-video shows cost more to produce, about 77% more per hour of attention generated than an audio-only show.
Ouch. 77% more? That sounds like a really bad investment on the surface. Why would I do that?
It sounds like it. Until you look at the retention numbers and the brand lift. There is a visual multiplier effect. Video podcasts are 38% more likely to be shared on social media than audio-only content.
38%. That's a huge number.
Think about your own behavior. When was the last time you shared a link to an MP3 file on your Facebook page?
Literally never. I don't think I've ever done that.
But you share Reels. You share TikToks. You share YouTube links all the time. Visuals are inherently shareable. Audio is inherently solitary. If you want your message to grow and spread, you need shareability. You need video.
That's a great point. And we also have some data from Cast Magic about how people even find new shows. They say 42% of podcast listeners discover new shows through social media clips.
This is what I call the taste testing booth theory.
I love this analogy. Break it down for me.
Okay, imagine you're at a farmer's market. You aren't going to just walk up to a vendor you've never heard of and buy a $15 jar of jam without trying it.
No way.
But if they have a little table set up with toothpicks and crackers, and they hand you a little sample...
I'll try anything on a cracker. I'm in.
Exactly. You taste it. If you like it, you buy the whole jar. Short video clips on social media are the samples on the cracker. They let a potential listener taste your brand, your expertise, your vibe, your personality with very low commitment.
And if they like the 30-second sample...
they'll click the link in your bio and subscribe to the full show. But if you don't have clips, if you don't have video, you have no samples to hand out. You're just standing behind your table shouting, "My jam is really good, I promise," while everyone else is handing out taste tests. You're invisible.
That makes perfect sense. And Voxel's specific focus on high-velocity vertical video plays right into this discovery model.
It does. Vertical video is completely dominant. The data shows that creators who format their content for vertical first viewing see a 44% increase in mobile watch time.
Because that's how we hold our phones.
We live on our phones. We are a vertical society now. If you are still producing horizontal 16:9 video and hoping people will make the effort to turn their phones sideways, good luck with that.
Nobody turns their phone sideways anymore. It feels like too much work.
We are lazy. Laughs. But seriously, you have to meet people where they are. The Voxel system aligns perfectly with these modern consumption habits. They aren't just giving you a video file. They're giving you the format that the 2026 audience demands.
So we've covered the how and the what. Let's close this out with the why, specifically for that small business owner who's on the fence. Section 6, the why.
Okay. At the end of the day, it comes back to efficiency as a core business strategy. We established at the very beginning that the 2026 economic landscape is tough, flat job growth, high rents.
Out to squeeze.
The Voxel promise is about saving you cost, yes, but more importantly, saving you headaches and time so that you, the owner, can focus on actually growing the business, not fighting with tripods and editing software.
This is the classic argument against buying your own gear, right? The build versus buy argument that comes up in tech all the time.
Exactly. Finchley Studios creates a really compelling case here. They argue that renting access to a high-end, maintained studio like Voxel is almost always cheaper in the long run than the depreciation and rent of a dedicated private space.
I've seen so many people trying to build studios in their offices. They go out, they buy a $2,000 camera, expensive lights, they tack up some ugly soundproofing foam on the wall, and
the camera technology completely changes in 6 months and their gear is obsolete. Or a light bulb breaks and they don't know the specific model to buy to replace it. Or, much more likely, they just get busy running their actual business and the studio just sits there and gathers dust.
it becomes a really, really expensive storage closet.
Exactly. When you rent a system like Voxel, you're paying for the output, not the liability of owning the equipment. You don't care if the camera depreciates. You don't have to worry about updating the firmware. You just walk in, create, and leave. It's an asset-light operational model, which is exactly what you need in a tight economy.
And finally, we just can't ignore the sheer size of the audience we're talking about. We have the latest stats from Edison Research and the Infinite Dial 2025 report.
These numbers are just staggering. Podcast consumption is at an all-time record high. 73% of the U.S. population over the age of 12 has consumed a podcast.
73%. That's not a niche anymore. That's basically everyone.
It's total mainstream dominance. And the weekly time spent listening has grown 355% since 2015. But what's really, really important for our local business owners in the South Bay and North OC is the diversity of that audience.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
The data shows incredibly high engagement among Black and Latino Americans. This isn't a niche medium for tech bros in Silicon Valley anymore. It is how the diverse, multicultural population of Southern California consumes information and builds trust with brands and experts.
So if you are a business in the South Bay, which is an incredibly diverse area, and you aren't on these platforms with audio and video,
You're invisible to a huge and growing chunk of your potential customer base. It's that simple. This is where the customers are.
So let's wrap this entire thing up. We've covered a lot of ground here today.
We have. It's a big topic.
To summarize the Voxel system, it's a simple 3-step process. It starts with the trigger, that's you, spotting the news that scares or confuses your clients.
Then it moves to rapid recording, getting yourself into the Voxel studio in San Pedro immediately, not next week.
And it ends with the AI engine turning that single recording session into weeks of high-quality vertical video clips and other content.
Hollywood quality at South Bay speed. It really does deliver on that promise.
It does. So I want to leave our listeners with a final provocative thought, something for you to chew on as you go about your week.
Here's the question I would ask you to consider. In a world where trust is the ultimate currency, who wins?
Okay, who?
Imagine two competitors in your exact industry. Competitor A sends a text-only email 3 days after a market-shaking event trying to explain it. Competitor B releases a broadcast-quality, well-lit, calm video explaining the solution and calming fears on the very same day.
Yeah.
Who wins the trust of the client? Who becomes the go-to authority?
It's not even a contest. Competitor B looks like the leader. Competitor A looks like they're playing catch-up, like they're slow.
The tools for broadcast quality authority are no longer reserved for big networks like CNN or Fox. They are now available affordably to a local realtor in San Pedro. The barrier to entry for looking like a top-tier professional is gone. The only barrier left is your willingness to move.
That is powerful. The tools are there. The audience is there. The question is, are you ready to use them?
Are you ready to move at the new speed of business?
I think that's the perfect place to leave it. Thank you for listening to this deep dive into the Voxel system and the economy of 2026. We'll catch you on the next one.
Stay agile, everyone.
See ya!